There's been a lot of political drama in the last few days. First, Labour councillor Ricky Jones got off scot-free despite telling a crowd to cut the throats of right-wing protesters. Then, in response, Ant Middleton of SAS Who Dares Wins tweeted this, which has been interpreted by some as a call of action or even a coup d'etat during Tommy Robinson's Unite the Kingdom rally. Now, as my regular viewers will know, I'm no fan of Tommy Robinson in the slightest. I think the man's a grifter, I think he's here to suck the oxygen out of any real appetite for change, and I think that ultimately he only serves the interests of Israel anyway. So for these reasons and a number of others, I think that attending his protests is entirely the wrong thing to do. And for what it's worth, it wouldn't surprise me to hear in the slightest that Ant Middleton is but a grifter. Surely no true and wise nationalist would affiliate themselves with Reform UK or Tommy Robinson. However, rather than respond to the tweet or news directly, I shall be responding to British Landeur's video about the matter in the hopes that I can provide my take grounded firmly in Italian elite theory and anti-politics. Now, before I start, I must say that Landeur, a rapidly rising star in the new British right, is someone whom I consider a friend, at least in the sense of a Schmittian friend-enemy distinction. I think that Landeur's sincere, I message him semi-regularly, and every impression I've got is that he's an honest man just talking his mind. So, please do not take this as a personal attack, instead go over to Landeur's channel and show him a bit of love. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it.
Well, this isn't exactly the kind of video I thought I'd be making on a Sunday morning, and just for the purposes of any police officers or MI5 agents who are watching this video, I do not support any kind of coup action in the UK.
Oh, the good old necessary disclaimer.
So why then am I talking about it? Well, I'm talking about it because of a post made by Ant Middleton, a former Special Forces soldier and all-round celebrity. And here's what Ant had to say. On the 13th of September, I will ask for something of the British public, British patriots, that I would never ask of if I weren't willing to lead the charge. If certain individuals can ask for our throats to be with zero accountability or repercussion, then that allows us free rein to defend ourselves in such a manner that will rattle foreign hostiles and our government to the very core. Choose a side, because this is ultimately what it has come down to. See you on the 13th of September and prepare your shields.
Yeah, it's quite a tweet. It's quite a controversial tweet. You can see it's been seen by 500,000 people at the time when Landeur took the screen grab. Yeah, a little bit more context. I'm sure Landeur will go into it anyway, but a little bit more context on Ant Middleton. Of course, he's famous from TV in SAS Who Dares Wins. He currently works for Reform UK as one of their... I'm not sure what official position he's in, but he's one of their kind of ambassadors or something like that. And he's been in this scene for about a year. But yeah, anyway, I'll allow Landeur to continue to see what he has to say.
Wow, that is quite the post. And we're going to dig into all of it. But right from the outset, you can tell that there are people now working in the Metropolitan Police looking at that and thinking, oh God. Okay, let's dig into this. Ant talks about September the 13th. Now, why does he pick that day? Well, many of you will know that Tommy Robinson has organised a protest on the 13th of September in central London. And these protests are by far the biggest that we see in the country. Usually around 250,000 people go to them, but given the current mood, I wouldn't be surprised to see that at 500,000. And
I mentioned this in my video, Processing Achieves Nothing. The actual biggest protest that we've ever had in this country was a protest against the Iraq War. And famously, of course, the protest stopped the Iraq War. The Iraq War never happened. No, of course, it did go on. The protest didn't achieve anything. These things never do.
Who's been asked to speak? Yeah, Ant Middleton. Ant Middleton will be taking to the stage on that day in front of potentially 500,000 people. In fact, let me just find some footage from one of the past protests so you can see how big these really are.
Oh, God. Human appeal, Gaza. Skip. Yes. Oh.
Look, I've been to a few of Tommy.
Should we play a game?
See how big these
Spot
really
the
are.
Israeli flag. Oh. There it is. There's the Israeli flag, of course.
Look, I've been to a few of Tommy Robinson's protests in the past,
dear
and it is
me.
by far the largest single gathering of patriotic British people that you will find in one spot. And that one spot, by the way, is usually Parliament Square, right next to the Houses of Parliament. So I'm not saying for certain that Ant Middleton is trying to launch a political revolution on the 13th of September. But what I can say for sure is that if you wanted to do so, then that is exactly the right time and place to do it. You've got all of the right people in exactly the right place.
I get what the point is here, but, and I'm sure Landeur would agree with me, the actual chances of any of this happening are almost zero. In fact, if you tried, this wouldn't be like the fucking Capitol Hill protest. You'd just be shot down, okay? You'd be shot down, you'd be arrested. It's not going to happen, but people are not even going to try. You know, they've been told repeatedly, this is a peaceful protest, we don't want any shenanigans, we don't want any trouble, we're not racist, we're not this, that or the other, so it's not going to happen.
I will be there on the 13th of September, and I should stress that I'm not there to launch a political revolution or anything like that. I'm just
Oh, boo. I'm only joking.
going to get involved. Hopefully I can meet some of you there, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, please do come along. Maybe we'll be witnessing
Please don't.
history, maybe we'll just have a good time. Who knows? Now, I'd planned in this video to talk all about how Tommy Robinson probably wouldn't allow some kind of revolution to start at one of his rallies. And the reason is relatively simple.
He's funded by Israel. That's the fucking reason.
I've been to a bunch of them in the past, and they are run like clockwork. Everything is peaceful. Everything is coordinated with the police. There's usually very few or even no arrests.
Yeah, Tommy Robinson, the dissident, whose protests are coordinated with the police. It's just, sorry, I'm laughing too much, but this is funny to me because if you know what I know, then you know that Tommy Robinson is no dissident. He's here to capture your energy, take in your money. It's all a hack job. Anyway.
All of the litter is collected at the end and disposed of. In fact, I would go as far as to say that your average migrant hotel protest with 2,000 people in attendance is more likely to turn sour than a Tommy Robinson organised protest with 200,000 people in attendance.
Probably true.
That's the difference. But then I saw a tweet this morning that Tommy had put out. There needs to be a revolution. It's as simple as that.
Oh dear. Oh dear, Tommy. Okay, for what it's worth, to give a, little bit more useful commentary, I made this video saying that civil war is not going to happen. And in it, in part I'm responding to David Betts and responding to all the stuff that he's been saying, but the idea is that the people have an appetite for civil war. They want civil war to happen because they think that what we have currently is so terrible and is only getting worse, so hopefully there'll be a little bit of change and hopefully it'll be our guys that win the civil war. In the state that we're in, I don't think for any second that we would win the civil war, so I really don't encourage anyone to do it. But there is a big appetite for it. And the idea is that if people think that it's coming, if it's inevitable, that, surely things can't go on, there must be a civil war, then they don't so much feel the need to make a civil war happen, to put in the effort to challenge the regime through civil war means or any other means, through factional interest means, through organising, for anything. If instead, however, they realise that there is no civil war, that no one is coming to save them, and that they must save themselves if they are to survive, then they'd be more inclined to actually put in the effort and do the things necessary to fight against our tyrannical government. But no, they think that people like Tommy Robinson or Ant Middleton are going to save them, so they don't put in the effort themselves, and, they give them their money, and then they all go home in their little protest, and nothing ever happens.
Oh, Tommy. Now, let me just be clear. In a few recent podcasts, Tommy has spoken about the need for some kind of revolution, but he's always maintained that he means a peaceful political revolution, not a violent revolution, right? Or
fucking hell. Peaceful political revolution. Yeah, fat chance. That's not how a revolution works. There's no handover of power. You don't vote your way into power. Watch this video, The Alarming Nature of True Power. Or watch through my anti-politics playlist, watch through any of the works of Scrump and Evelyn, read their Substack, read their book. There's so much work out there saying that electoral change, electoral shenanigans, it's all just noise. It doesn't really matter. You shouldn't be paying any attention to it, because true power is held not by voting intention, not by any of this bollocks, but by the industry you own, the secrets you have on people. Essentially, it boils down to destructive capacity. Voting is not destructive capacity. There's not going to be a peaceful political revolution. Revolutions are inherently violent and inherently against the law. And for what it's worth, when you get your peaceful political revolution, aka Reform UK, getting into government, please be aware from now that that is not a revolution. The policies of Reform UK will not save the country. It'll be reduced migration, it'll still be liberal democracy, it'll still be capitalism, it'll still be all these things that are destroying us. You're not getting peaceful political revolution, you're just getting fooled.
Coup d'etat, as it were. So is that what Ant Middleton is getting at? Is he saying, I'm joining the Advance Party, or I'm starting my own political party? After all, he does say, now is the time to choose a side, right?
Well, he's in Reform UK, so that's the party he's involved with.
Maybe that's what he's getting at. But let me just remind you of some of the other language he used, and you can decide for yourself whether that sounds like joining a political party. If certain individuals can ask for our throats to be with zero accountability or repercussions, then that allows us free rein to defend ourselves in such a manner that will rattle foreign hostiles and our government to the very core. Choose a side, because this is ultimately what it has come down to, and prepare your shield.
Yeah, it's just going to be electoral shit again. The side that you're meant to take is Israel's side. It's the Zionist side. It's, we're going to have more based Sikhs and based Hindus to counteract the Muslims. It's more counter-jihad. It's not the side, ultimately, of the British people, because the British people are not allowed to have power in their own country. It's not a call to arms for Ant Middleton. It's a call to probably just vote at the next election and give him and his mates a bit more money.
Look, let's be honest, okay? That's fighting talk. That doesn't sound like join my political party. When he's talking about, we have free rein to defend ourselves however we see fit. That's not political speech as I would traditionally imagine it.
No, it's not. But ultimately, they can get away with that because they know that ultimately only a very few people will even try it on. Those people are unlikely to be shining examples of upright citizens. They're probably going to be cast out in the media to be, these low IQ skinheads or whatever. And then the public image of the right will be tarred for another generation to come. It's really not a good idea.
So sure, maybe that is one option. And that's definitely like the most politically acceptable option that Ant could be referring to, but it just doesn't quite match up with the language, does it? Let's be honest. Another fairly innocent explanation that I just thought of is maybe he's referring to some kind of extreme neighborhood watch, right? And we've actually seen this start taking place in certain areas in the country, especially in Northern Ireland. I was watching Freedom Dad the other day, and he was following some Northern Irish guys around at like midnight, and they were basically patrolling the streets, ostensibly to keep women and children safe.
Now, I don't think Ant is calling for this, but it's not actually too bad of an idea. Local organisation, local community building, stuff like this probably goes a lot further than attending a protest does. So if that is the grand idea, then, as far as I can see, then honestly, go for it. The police won't be there for you. They won't do their job for you. We live in an anarcho-tyrannical state. So if you can do these things for yourselves, then go for it.
So that's really interesting. And sure, I guess that kind of fits with the language. So that's one possibility. Or, and let's just be honest here, this is what we're all thinking, maybe he's talking about storming the Houses of Parliament. I mean, after all, you've got hundreds of thousands of angry, patriotic Brits stood right in front of you. You're on stage, you've got a microphone, you can all see the Houses of Parliament. They're right there, right next to you. You're in Parliament Square. And if he says, right lads, follow me, we're going in that direction, and thousands of people start following Ant, then yeah, I'm pretty sure you could just walk into the Houses of Parliament.
No. Sorry, no.
The police aren't, what can they do? They're going to be massively outnumbered.
They can tear gas you, they can water spray you with cannons, they can use rubber bullets, they've got any number of riot police responses. You're not going to walk into the Houses of Parliament, King Charles II style, and arrest everyone there. Like, it's not going to happen.
Are they just going to start sporadically firing into crowds of thousands of people?
Yes, with tear gas and rubber bullets. It's not going to be lethal force, most likely, but, you're not going to defeat them.
I don't think so, because that's kind of like, well, then you just get like an English Bloody Sunday. I don't think they would do that, and I don't think the order would be given for them to do that. And even if it was, I don't think they would follow that order.
Oh, so, yeah. I wish that the police would dissent against their masters in such a way, but I don't think it possible.
I'm pretty sure you could just walk en masse straight into the Houses of Parliament and very little would be done about it. But then you've got a whole other question, right? What do you do once you're in there? Is the plan to have some kind of sit-down protest? Well,
I know he just means this is one of the options, but that sounds so gay.
Sure, okay, but then eventually you are all just going to get rounded up and arrested. The police will just pick you off one at a time. Or are you actually trying to take control of the country? Are you going to try and depose the king? Are you going to?
I'll let you in on a little secret. The power of this country is not in Parliament. It is not in the king. It is in the banks. It is in the institutions. It is in the media. It's actually in America. If I'm to put it anywhere, the power in this country is in America. Storming Parliament will do almost bugger all in terms of real change in this country.
Try and seize control of the army, because whoever controls the army realistically controls the country.
Well, again, our army would lose to America. We'd be hit with loads of sanctions. In the nice option, we'd be hit with loads of sanctions. We'd be considered an international pariah. We'd be potentially even blockaded. We'd be given the Rhodesia treatment. And that didn't work out for Rhodesia in the end. The problem is you can't have revolution in this country because the country's not in strong enough a position to defend itself against hostile actors in the case of such a revolution. So that's not really an option. We should be seeking other avenues to achieve things than just a revolution.
And in all fairness, if anyone's going to have any chance of seizing control of the army, it probably is a former Special Forces guy, right? Because of what he's done, he can command the respect of the average everyday soldier.
Now, there is something to say for that. He does have a lot of clout, he does have a lot of popularity, but I don't seriously think that even he could capture the army. It all sounds lovely, it all sounds like a brilliant idea, but I just can't see it happening. And I'm not saying that Landeur can see it happening either. I think this is, open speculation. It's, the game's the game. This is just a YouTube video. But, yeah, I don't see it happening.
Now, look, all of these ideas, even me hearing myself speak them out loud, are completely insane.
Yes. At least he knows. Landeur's not seriously saying all of this. No, it's just open speculation. Don't read too much into it.
Batshit crazy, right? You know that, and I know that. And yet you're still here listening to me, and you're probably thinking, yeah, that's plausible. That's how bad
not me.
bad Britain has become. That we are now in the situation where we're talking about like a coup d'etat, the kind of thing you only see in South American failed states, but we're talking about it in Britain. And we're not going, look, that's ridiculous. Maybe some of you are. Maybe some of you are already switched off and you're like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. Totally fine.
Nah, you're all right, mate.
But for those who are still listening, yeah, that could actually happen. I could see that taking place. I could see people going along with that. That's a really bad sign, because that means that Britain has fallen all the way down to those South American countries that have had exactly this happen to them. Scary, scary.
It's worth mentioning that, yes, these things happen there, but there are many reasons that just because it happened there doesn't mean it will happen here. We're not in the same circumstances. I mean, the chief thing is that to have an actual civil war, as I mentioned in my video, Civil War Will Not Happen, you need to have an actual powerful counter-elite that wants to take the place of the existing regime and defeat them. We in this country don't have such an elite. No one's organising us to take over the state. No one has the money, no one has the resources. Everyone in this country with any real power pretty much is bought and paid for. Like, there's really nothing we can do. This is not like in the Americas where, it's the American-funded dissident group versus the domestic regime. Like, no very powerful foreign faction is funding a civil war in the UK. It's just not happening.
Scary thought. Look, I'm sure that Ant Middleton isn't planning anything that extreme. But the fact that we can even discuss it and that it's actually technically plausible and possible is really, really telling.
Well, I'm not sure how plausible it is, but we can certainly at least discuss it.
Here's a bit of interesting British history for you. It wouldn't be the first time that a member of the British Special Forces has planned to overthrow the government. Because back in the 1970s, David Stirling, the founder of the SAS and, frankly, all modern special forces, planned to do exactly this. Now, David Stirling didn't get very far in his plans or his attempts, but the mood of the country...
And there's the problem. He got nowhere. I wish that things could change like anyone else, but purely on the basis of realism, I don't think it's wise for any of us to pin our hopes on revolution in this country. Like, I'm not trying to blackpill you. This is just reality. Like, it's not good to pin your hopes on something that can't and won't happen. Sorry.
Is very, very different today. We see protests up and down the country, sometimes 20 on a single day. And right now there is a campaign to raise the colours, which is basically putting the English flag everywhere.
Yeah, why not? It's our country. We may as well. I know it's just a visibility stunt, but fuck it. It's nice. It's nice to see the flag of England around, so go for it.
In places like Tower Hamlets, where there are basically no English people left. Take a look at this.
God, what a bleak ethnic makeup. Oh, dearie me. What is that? It's like 10% white. Not even 10% white British in certain age groups. You really hate to see it. But yes, there are England flags. The few boys still there. The few native Cockneys putting up their England flags.
Look, the mood in Britain is absolutely febrile, especially amongst the English people. And we're just sick of our government. And I'm not talking about one specific government. I'm not talking about Keir Starmer's Labour government. I'm talking about successive governments since at least 1997 when Tony...
Yeah, okay, since 1997. I'd put it further and further back. I mean, at least as far back as Churchill. And I don't mean World War II Churchill, I mean Liberal Party Churchill. The betrayal is so far back. It's even into the, Victorian era. Blair, in many ways accelerated the decline, but we've not been a country run for our people for a very long time, and only now are we starting to notice.
Blair took power, but you could argue even further back than that.
Well, exactly.
We've had all of this anti-democratic stuff just rammed onto us. I'm talking about mass migration, which people have consistently voted against. Well, it was forced onto us, right?
Yeah.
Joining the ECHR, nobody wanted that. Okay, the creation of the Supreme Court, a court which can effectively overrule what Parliament decides. That's crazy. Why are we doing this? We've basically created these quangos, these quasi-autonomous non-government organisations that can limit what Parliament does.
Yeah, it's because power's not within Parliament. Again, watch my video, The Alarming Nature of True Power, or go through the anti-politics material. Power isn't within Parliament. Read Carl Schmitt. Liberal democracy's a lie. It's all just smoke and mirrors. The quangos are just, they're not really resisting Parliament. It's all just, it's all for show. It's all for show.
Crazy. That's why the Rwanda scheme, for example, which I don't think was a good scheme, but that's why the Rwanda scheme could never get off the ground because of all of these other organisations that were getting involved. Madness.
The Rwanda scheme never got off the ground because the government never wanted the Rwanda scheme to get off the ground. Sovereignty, still nominally lies with the king, but beyond that, still nominally lies within Parliament, and Parliament had every right, and I believe even had the numbers to remove all of these quangos, and yet didn't. But the reason was that the Tories didn't want to push Rwanda, but they wanted to appear as though they were trying to push Rwanda, so they needed, some villain character to say, oh, we want to do this, but I'm not going to let you. It's literally like dolls fighting each other. Whereas, the person in control is the one who's controlling the dolls, or the puppeteer, or whatever have you. The Quangos were there to stop the Rwanda plan, such that the Tories could look as though they were seriously trying to do it without ever having to ever implement it. It's all fake. And when you can see through this, when you understand who's in power, what factions are in power, what are their incentives, how do they delude the people with lies of liberal democracy, of constitutionalism. That's another video I have. Constitutionalism is utter BS. When you can see through this, you see the utter fakery for what it is, then, well, for one thing, you stop getting emotional about it, but number two, it helps you better plan to navigate within such an environment. But yeah, it's all bollocks. Rwanda was never going to happen. No one in the government ever really wanted it to happen.
Absolute madness. We've stripped our own democracy away from us. Bonkers. So I don't think these political elites really understand the level of anger that exists in this country. And for those people that...
Oh, they understand. They definitely understand. But they're not worried about it because who's going to organise these people? Who seriously poses a threat to the regime? The answer is nobody.
Jacob Rees-Moggs of the world, okay? I would strongly recommend you go and read some of the replies to Ant's original post. I'm not going to go through all of them, but...
I couldn't find the post. I think it might have been deleted. I may be wrong about that, but I couldn't find it.
The gist of it for a lot of people is this. I'll be there, I'll help you out, let's do this. And that's how people feel in this country, right? Regardless of what Ant's original intention was with that post, and I really don't know, a lot of people are interpreting it as him saying, right, we're going to do a coup. And not only are they interpreting him saying it as that, they're then replying and going, yeah, sure, I volunteer, let's get this done. That's crazy.
Well, of course, because no one wants to live in this country with the government we've got. People want change. They've asked for change. They've been begging for change for God knows how long, but it's not been delivered to them. Because the politicians don't care for these people. They care only for their own selfish interests, their own factional interests. Or they care not to dissent too much because, suddenly the information will come out that they've done some terribly despicable acts in their past. Oh, sorry, by the way, if you can hear some inane wailing, that's my dog. No one's dying or anything. Anyway.
Crazy. The fact that that is the mood of a lot of people in this country is crazy. Anyway, look, I am genuinely, more than most videos, really curious to hear what you guys think. Maybe you think I'm making a big deal out of absolutely nothing. It's just one post. Fine. You could be absolutely correct. Let me know that in the comments. Change my mind. Sure. Maybe you think that I'm right. Maybe you just don't have a clue what's going on. Maybe you just want to say, hey, I'll see you there on September 13th. Sorry, the dog just found a tennis ball, which is great fun. She's very happy. This is like the third tennis ball we found in these fields in the last couple of days. So someone keeps losing them and Annie keeps finding them. She's very, very happy. And she loves playing fetch.
Lovely.
Sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked. Look, if you haven't, please do leave a like, comment.
Maybe he is going to get the crowd to say something controversial. The idea of the whole crowd just like singing that new Kanye West song. Oh dear.
And subscribe, and I hopefully will see you in a future video. If you promise to subscribe, I'll show you Annie catching the ball, maybe. Okay? Yeah? All right, latest. Wait.
Nice.
Good girl.
Nice.
Good girl.
Right, I suppose in closing, yes, there is a real appetite for change, and things, we can feel that things have changed. Genies have been let out of bottles that I don't think are going to be put back in. The level of noticing, the desire for remigration, I don't think these things are going away, and I don't think the liberal propaganda about diversity being our strength, that, we must be tolerant and inclusive, I don't think that's anywhere near as powerful as it has been in the past. I think more and more people are waking up, and that's a good thing. It's good that more and more people see through the bullshit, at least at some level. However, of course, these protests are but a complete waste of time. I seriously don't encourage anyone to go to any of them. If Landeur wants to do it for a little bit of clout, then fine. The game's the game. Carl Benjamin does it, other people do it, whatever. But normal people, seriously, I don't recommend you go. I don't recommend you give any money to, any real establishment figure or, pseudo-establishment figure. Not the Tommy Robinsons, not the Ant Middletons, not Farage, not Kissin, not any of these people. Just do what's right for you, build your community. I kind of like the idea of this neighbourhood watch thing, but, look out for your own. Don't give money to other people. Don't go to the Tommy Robinson thing. Revolution in this country is not happening, even though I know that many of you do want it to. And, yeah. In any case, I wish all the best to Landeur. I think this was a good video. I see that it's doing a lot of numbers, and I'm very happy for him. Maybe this one will get on Asmongold as well. Other than that, have a nice day, have a nice time. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in a later video. Cheerio.